I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to a Wednesday, a wild Wednesday here on the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you over here, my own square. And then you've got the tremendous trio. You got Kristen Seidler, you have Scotty Mincher, and back in the back in the comfy chair, you've got in the lazy boy, Mr. Radar Pavlov. Guys, how are we?
The three amigos.
Yeah,
sure
we're
are.
finally back together.
Finally back together. Well, it's either the three amigos or three blind mice, depending on what sport we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
All Browns fans. So, Scotty, welcome back. Kristen, welcome officially.
Thank you.
And Radar, I guess welcome back because you've been part of the Audible Call on Fridays.
I gotta say, hey, really, it's welcome back to me. Really, after Scotty and I went through for the Audible Call this past high school football regular season. I gotta say, it's really a big time thrill for me to be part of that Ysn Power Hour, and I gotta say, it's a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of information, really, over the next hour.
Well, we're looking forward to it. But first, we got to get to On This Day in Sports History. You guys ready?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's roll. All right, guys, it's been a Mike Tyson kind of week. We talked about Mike Tyson a little earlier, I think later in last week. But today in sports history, on the 2nd of November in 1988, Mexican radio stations erroneously report that Mike Tyson had died in a car crash. So my question to you is, if someone were to erroneously report your death, how would you want to go out? Like you're living, but what would you want to read about as the way you went out? Scotty, we'll start with you.
I think I'd want to go out. I talked about it a little bit, like one of the first times. I think I came out here with Super Dave a few years ago when you first hired me as part of the team. I think I want to go out doing my thing. It's skydive bricks.
All right. Plug for skydive race.
Yeah, I think that's how I want to go out, man. Because that would be a thrill.
That would be. It'd be fun. But you got to think, you're not really dying. You're not even doing what you're just reading about. So what would you want to read about Scotty? Like fake dying.
Oh, if I was just reading about it.
Yeah, you're not really dying.
Okay.
Sorry to burst your bubble.
I guess I would probably say heart attack at First Energy Stadium.
First after the Browns win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There it is. That's a good one. Kristen?
I don't know.
Good answer.
Yeah, I might have to agree with Scotty. Heart
Okay.
attack after the Browns win the Super Bowl.
Yep. All right. And Radar, I can't wait for this one.
Well, I gotta say, I would probably have a heart attack if I agree with both Scotty and Kristen on that subject. Really,
We're all just gonna
Yeah.
croak out bad hearts. Too much McDonald's.
The entire stadium is going to just die after the Browns win the Super Bowl. Well, that takes care of two things for me. One, the Browns win the Super Bowl, and the other one, that all the fans go. So I'll take it. Scotty, what are we talking about today?
Oh, Well, I was thinking a lot today. I talked a little bit about some matchups on my return to Running Point with Anthony, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm really intrigued by this slate of high school football, the second round. So I'm really intrigued by that. Is it cool if we start there?
Wherever you want, man. It's your show on Wednesdays.
Okay, cool. I guess I wanted to start with the Mooney Norway game.
Yep.
I got a lot of interest in that one. I got to be completely honest with you, DJ. The Boardman Mooney game was one of my games in week number 1.
Uh-huh.
And after I watched that game, I just did not. I really like Mooney's defense, but I did not foresee them as a playoff team after that game. But they really have kind of like come into his own. The defense has been really good all year. In these last couple weeks, offensively, they've showed up. They've been a force for sure. But I just wanted to talk about, like, they're a team I didn't expect. I like their chances against Norway here, but I just wanted to get your thoughts. I know, if I was a coach, they'd say you can't look ahead, but if there is a South Range Mooney matchup, which could be down the road, do you think Mooney, with all their rich high school playoff history, and I know South Range has had great years too, but do you think Mooney can maybe pull what a lot of people would see as an upset?
It's an interesting question, but we got to get through Norway first if you're Mooney, right? So when you look at the fantastic50.net, which is where we pull our quote unquote spreads from, which is what we typically do on Wednesday, you have Cardinal Mooney, 5-6 on the year, being favored by 3 over Norway. And again, Mooney on the road won by an absorbent amount of points, scored 45. I think it was 45-7, something like that, 47-7.
Yeah, the offense has really come a lot. They've impressed me a lot.
Yeah, so you look at that, Mooney being favored on the road, and typically, and I don't know if this is the way Drew Pastor does it, but when a team is at home, they're already getting 3, right? So if you're looking at regular spreads on sports betting,
it's basically a pick.
It's a pick 'em, but now you have really Mooney's. They're being picked by a touchdown better, even though it says by 3. You look at that and you add the extra 3, and they're saying Mooney by basically a touchdown. So Drew hit for, I think it was 92% last week on all his picks in Ohio. So he's saying Mooney by 3. I think Mooney's going to win by more. And I think South Range, who is favored by 27 over Garfield, is going to get a win as well. And I think they're going to set up that matchup that everybody wants, which is South Range and Mooney.
You said you think Mooney will win by more, so I'm assuming that means you think they would cover as far as the touchdown.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about them covering. Yeah, they're going to win. I think they'll win by 2 scores.
But do you think? You said you also think South Range will take care of business against Garrettsville. Do you think that one they win in a laugher?
Nah, I wouldn't say it's a laugher. I think, again, South Range probably, I would say, and I hate doing this because Garfield's one of our teams too, but I would say the way that South Range has played this year, and then they've played teams that run the ball predominantly, which is what Garfield does, probably – anywhere between 14-17, 14-20 points. And that's – but you could have the scenario where Garfield comes in. Everybody's been watching that Struthers film when Struthers gave South Range a really, really good game. And you never know. If Garfield holds on to the football for a long time and they can sustain some drives, they could give some trouble.
They could, but one thing I will say too is South Range. A lot of their wounds in that game were self inflicted too. I think they turned it over 6 times.
It was there was 6 turnovers in that game.
Yeah.
And when 2 of them were on the 1 yard line, and I think there's a pick as well or something like that. So,
but
you look
these
at that.
Win or go home. I mean, you know, like we talked about.
Wouldn't it be something if Garfield comes out and throws the ball for 400 yards just out of the blue?
That would be something. I gotta, man. I would love, like, obviously, when I did one of my first stories and I sent it to you, DJ, about how I think I sent in the article how, like, I would play sports. I never ended up playing like organized sports, but we would do a lot of backyard stuff. We played baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Someone would pinch run from me, but whether I was a player and a coach, especially in football, right here in the valley where everyone's football crazy, like football's number one. Like, I'd just love to be that, like, player that, like, no one's giving you a chance in the game. And
you like being the underdog.
Yeah. I would just love to be that underdog in the postseason. Like, I don't know. I just felt like the most dangerous animal is a wounded animal. I'd love to be. I feel like when you're talked up and everybody expects you to be good, not necessarily that you're not good and you don't try hard, but I think at times during a season, complacency could set in. But that's what I love about football is it's just one game, man. Like, if we were playing series, 99% of the time, the team with the better roster is going to win. But where we are right now, second round of the playoffs, you have one bad half. It could be good night, Irene.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kristen. You had a thought?
I definitely agree. I mean, I especially don't like it when the area teams play.
Mm-hmm.
I think the teams that are non-area should play, but it is what it is. And sometimes one of your area teams has to lose, and the other team has to win.
Radar, what are your thoughts?
I gotta say, really, this on the Mooney Norway matchup, like you said, with Mooney being favored now, although they are 13 seed in Division 5, Region 17. I mean, I gotta say Mooney has a real good shot to beat Norway, because who knows? It could be Mooney versus South Range in Week 12.
13.
Week 13 make that. But Garrettsville, Garfield, and Norway have a lot to say on that. So you never know what could happen once you get to the postseason.
You had a great story today about Struthers and West Branch. You care to elaborate on that, my friend?
I will gladly do that, because South Range and Struthers and West Branch, Division 7 in Region 25. That is a first-round matchup, a quarterfinal matchup, I should say, this coming Friday night out in Beloit. And dare I say, that was going to be a great game coming up for that South Range Struthers West Branch matchup. Both of those will have really good quarterbacks. In fact, both have good senior QBs, I might add, in Alex the Grizib, a.k.a. Alex the Great, Grizib the Great, as Anthony would call it. But West Branch, incidentally, they do have a QB of their senior QB of their own that will be playing college ball at Eastern Illinois, named Drew DeShields. And remember, DeShields was injured in the game against Field last Friday night. Right? But they have a good backup QB too. And I gotta say, really, that Struthers West Branch game is really going to be a great game. Although I sort of echo Kristen's point a little bit, that you don't want to see local matchups being involved in from the Youngstown area, but it's the playoffs, anything goes.
DJ, when you said that, I'm not saying this like as a joke or anything, but were you being like, was there any amount of sarcasm in there when you said that West Branch has never been Struthers, or were you?
That was the stat that I was given.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Michael Janaki said that. I guess I'll have to go back in there. Mikey might be listening right now, but one of the stats was 0-2. West Branch is 0-2 against Struthers in the playoffs. So to me, that's interesting because I like the history side of that. I think Struthers has a great defense. I think they have a borderline really good offense, and I'm talking borderline on like a whisker of being really good. But I don't think that they get near the respect they deserve because it's the NE8, right? Yeah, and that's a tough conference. And they held their own. For my cookies, they held their own this year in the NE8.
What do you think about as far as West Branch goes? If they are gonna get that first playoff win against Struthers, I mean, does it just come down to? I said this on Running Point with Anthony. Like sometimes I think as fans we kind of like over sympathize. Like if they could just do this, if they could just run the ball, or they control the time of possession, or they win the turnover battle.
No, you're right. I think that's oversimplification, right? So yeah, if the Steelers could hold on to the ball for 59 minutes and 59 seconds every game, they should win. But to do that, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
So I mean, you look at this. To me, this has all the opportunity to be the best game of the week, right? Struthers, I think, could be the team that knocks off West Branch. However, West Branch actually has the advantage in all of this when you look at it because Struthers has to plan for 2 quarterbacks because they don't know if Drew's going to be playing. They don't know if Bo Alazos is going to be the starting quarterback for the West Branch Warriors. They don't know what to expect because now you got to go and watch over and over and over again that last half last week because you've seen Drew DeShields. You know what Drew DeShields is capable of. One of the best players in all of our area. But what do you do and who do you guard and how do you guard him if Drew's out of the lineup? So you got to almost have 2 weeks of practice rolled into 6 days. So again, we can oversimplify this, but I think West Branch has the advantage and they're not going to tell anybody until Friday night. And even then they might kind of keep it under wraps. Even if Drew can't play, they might have him out there throwing. Or if he can play, they might have 2 quarterbacks warming up and having the Wildcats guessing all the way until till kickoff.
Or they could just use 2 quarterbacks for the whole game. Switch them out.
Could do that too. Like YSU did for a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
I'm here for it.
If you're a coach on the Struthers staff or even a player, as good as Drew DeShields is and has been, would you rather, like, if you had to pick between one, you rather face him because he's more of a known commodity and you could, like, kind of plan how you're going to game plan against him and you take your chances?
So you're asking, the question is would you rather play against Drew DeShields or anybody else?
Yeah.
I'm taking anybody else.
Okay.
Because he's that good. He is a game changer. He's a game manager. A guy that has 49 touchdowns between, I think, 39 passing, 10 rushing, and only 1 interception on the year. I mean, that's a guy that knows the stuff.
He's a dual threat, too.
Oh, he's a dual threat. He'll beat you with his legs. He'll beat you with his arm. He'll beat you with his mind. I mean, the guy's like a modern, like not modern day, I guess, but Tom Brady in his prime. Like I compare him specifically to a guy like Tom Brady, who's a game manager, who knows his receivers. I mean, he came in and people were like, well, he lost his best receiver. He's not going to be as good. No, he's not. He's going to be better because just like a good quarterback should, a good quarterback creates receivers. And his receivers are pretty good. Don't get me wrong. And he's had some great ones. But let's give some credit to Drew DeShields. Drew Shields can make anybody look good because of the way he places the ball, the way he understands the route trees. He's just a really, really good quarterback.
And I know it's a different sport, and I hate giving your team. I know it's an entirely different world. I hate giving your team's credit, but you look at the Steelers and what Claypool did with Ben, and then what Claypool is. I mean, even last year, like they were, Ben made big plays when they needed them. They were a good enough offense. They were efficient. He wasn't, in vintage Ben, but he was good enough. Now you don't have that security blanket anymore. And again, it might be oversimplifying it, but you see the Steelers struggles when they have Pickett, who, let's face it, he had a pretty good junior year, a really good senior year, but struggled before that, wasn't thought of as going to be a star. And you see the Steelers having their first really bad year in a long time.
Well, and again, I think that it's one of those situations where you can't cover a bullet hole with a Band-Aid, So the Steelers have a lot more going on than just their quarterback. They've got a lot going on: offensive coordinator, offensive line. I think the receiving core is pretty good. I really do. I like Kenny Pickett. I like Mitch Trubisky, but I just don't think that what they're trying to run necessarily is a good game plan. I don't think that qualifies as, look at the Steelers, look at the West Branch Warriors. I think we're kind of spitting on the Warriors a little bit on that one and with that comparison. But I will say this: a quarterback will make all the difference in how far you can go in the playoffs. And that's any level. That's Pop Warner, that's high school, that's college, and that's pro. And I think what you have to understand is the defense makes all the difference in the playoffs because, to your point, it's a one-game tournament. And if somehow the Struthers Wildcats can get enough pressure on Drew DeShields or Bo Alazos to create havoc and wreak havoc in that backfield, then I think the Struthers Wildcats have a very good chance of upsetting West Branch on Friday night.
Oh, boy.
You think good enough to maybe
It's going to come down to defense. It's going to come down to what can Struthers defense do. If Struthers defense can upset the apple cart and live in the backfield on Friday night, I think the Wildcats win. If they cannot get penetration, if they cannot break up these plays before they get started, West Branch will roll.
It's still like, again, I hate to, beat a dead horse and keep saying, being redundant, saying oversimplify. But is it as simple, DJ, as these games are still won in the is that too cliche when people say that? Or is it really just that simple? If you win the line of scrimmage, you're probably going to win the game.
I think it's probably 75% trenches. But, I mean, you see the game of football, how it's completely changed in the last 10, 15 years. It's quick outs. It's, these quick little hitch routes. You can beat people deep. The quarterbacks are smart enough to throw the ball and put enough loft under it, enough touch to get on. They let the receivers get under it. To me, it always comes down to penalties. Are your penalties and turnovers? People talk about trenches. Yes, that was when running was all the fad, right? And we weren't throwing the football. Now, to me, it's penalties and turnovers. The team that wins the turnover battle has the best chance. That's science. That's fact, right? But the team that has the most penalties also is shooting themselves in the foot and giving themselves less and less opportunity to go. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, from that standpoint, Scotty, yeah, I think that the battle is won in the trenches, but I think the war is won on the turnovers and the penalties.
And it's not as far back as I could remember, but I guess I'll say as far back as I could remember where I was able to, actually not just watch a game and kind of understand. I was able to fully grasp everything. It probably goes back to, being 12, 13, 14. So over 20 years ago for me, but it seems like, you say 20 years, and like in the grand scheme of life, like people talk about how they could remember something that happened 20 years ago like it was yesterday. But I guess without getting too far off track, what my point is I feel like even just 20 years ago, DJ, when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, and I'm not just talking about NFL and college, I mean on the high school level, it seems like these quarterbacks are much more dynamic
Mobile. Yep.
now, much more mobile now than they were back then. Do you think I'm off base there?
I would say that you're not far off.
Okay.
Just because I remember 20 years ago, coincidentally, was my senior year in high school. And we had East Palestine had a quarterback named Smitty Kendrew that was one of the most dynamic, mobile quarterbacks in the area. We went to the playoffs for the first time. We won our first playoff game. I mean, much like United did last week at home. It was awesome. But you saw quarterbacks, and I can speak to the TCL quarterbacks. Jay Yorty from Lisbon, he was a mobile threat, but he also had a rocket for an arm. But you're right. It wasn't too far before that quarterbacks were just basically conduits for screen passes and bubble screens and handing off the football. They were catalysts for the victory and not necessarily the main attraction that you need and the shortstop of the gridiron. So yeah, I don't think you're that far off, but I don't think it was 20. It would probably been about 30 years ago that there was no passing in the high school. No, I should say none. Very little passing in the high school game, and that's why you're seeing all these stats and these records being just shattered by quarterbacks in the last 30 years because they're tossing the ball around. They're really looking at the pro game and they're funneling it down, and coaches are doing a good job of that as well.
I wanted to ask you, DJ, too, about Austintown, Fitch, and Akron St. V's. But before I do that, I won't spend as much time on it with you because I talked about it quite a bit with Anthony on Running Point. But this is kind of putting you on the spot a little bit. But I just wanted to know, what do you think in your mind? What one word best describes the 2022 Louisville Rockets? And also, what do you think about their chances going forward here?
One word for the Louisville Rockets.
Because it's my alma mater, and this has been a really fun year, I was curious what my man, if he had to sum them up in one word, what would you say about Louisville this year?
I guess the word that keeps coming to my mind is fun. You know what I mean? Because they're fun to watch. They're fun to root for. I think some people think that, they're fun to root against in some cases because, you got Vinny Ballone that's breaking all kinds of records, throwing for 9 touchdowns in a game. You got a great receiving core, with Luceni and Bonovsky and a good running back in Lucido. That Louisville is really good. No matter who they play, I don't care. I'm not there for it. Like I don't care who they play. They beat everybody. Same deal with Edison. People are knocking Edison because they couldn't stand up to Mooney. Well, there's a lot of teams that we're going to find out can't stand up to Mooney in Division 5. So maybe take the foot off the gas a little bit and then realize quickly that Louisville, we should just be watching it in it and just enjoying it. Because Vinny Ballone, to me, and that whole offense is a once-in-a-generation type offense that puts up points just out the wazoo. And you can replace wazoo with whatever you want. But those guys just are great. They're dynamic. They're fun to watch. So fun is my word for the Louisville Rockets this year.
No question about it right there, guys. And I was going to get ready to say on Vinny Ballone a little bit, that he no doubt maybe the Mr. Football in Ohio with his record-setting performances this year. I can honestly say, because you remember that 9 touchdown game that he had against Jackson Milton earlier this year. I got to say that would have been my best performance of 2022, DJ. That's all I got to say.
That's your number one performance?
That's my number one performance of this high school football, the regular season that was.
And that's saying something. That really is saying something. That's the number, because we've seen a lot of great performances. We've seen 6 touchdown performances. We've seen 6 interception performances. But that's saying something, Radar, if that's your number one performance of the year.
That I got to say that below 9 touchdown performance against Jacksonville may have been the best individual performance I'd ever seen, high school, college, and pro.
In any sport?
In any sport.
Wow.
Oh, my.
Oh, Nelly, we got a barn burner for you.
Yeah.
Radar dropping the gauntlet there.
Drops the mic, just
Yeah.
like that. What's the best sports performance you've ever seen, Kristen?
It's hard to tell. We have so many really great teams in the area.
I know it's hard to pull
Really
that out
hard
of the
to
library.
pick.
What about you, Scotty?
But like any sport, any level.
I'm not talking about just individual. Like, what's the best performance you've ever seen? Team, player, whatever.
Man, that's a tough one.
Take a break and think about it.
Yeah, I gotta think about that one. That's a lot to chew on there.
Maddie Balone says we love watching them as well, meaning the Louisville Rockets. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're gonna get the top performances of their lives. Who is it? Any guesses? We'll find out after this on YSN's Power Hour. Don't go away.
I support police funding, securing our borders, and parental rights in education. I'm attorney Mark Hanai, the only Republican running for the 7th District Court of Appeals. I will always follow the law.
Paid for by the committee to elect Mark Hanai judge. Dave Johnson, chairman.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
I'm Mark Hanai, a conservative Republican. I believe in family values, the Second Amendment, and our Constitution. Vote for the only Republican running for the 7th District Court of Appeals. Protect your rights. Vote Hanai for judge.
All right, welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. DJ on this side. You got Scotty, Kristen, and the one and only, the big unit, Mr. Radar Pavlov. All right, before the break, we were talking about the greatest performances we've ever seen. Radar says Vinny Balone and his 9-touchdown game, the greatest performance he's ever seen at any level. Kristen,
I got to change mine a little bit.
Let's go.
We were off air, and I found out it wasn't just high school.
Oh.
So I've got to go college on this one.
Okay.
Of course, I have to go. It was the game before Youngstown State was going to play in the championship. It was maybe 4 seconds left, I think. And Hunter Wells throws a touchdown pass to Kevin Rader, who actually has to hug the defender to catch it.
Oh, I remember that. This one.
Yes.
Yep.
And they actually called it a touchdown, and there we go, right on to the championship.
Very cool. Scotty?
Yes.
I mean,
I swear to God, if you say Brown Steelers in the playoffs, I'm going to come after you.
No,
Okay.
no, it's not that. As much as I loved that night, it's not that special to me. But I think I have to say, I mean, it was the first time I watched a sporting event, and I was just like, wow, this is why I love sports. I gotta say, it has to be Michael Jordan's flu game against the Jazz. That was the first time I watched sports, and I'm like, this dude can barely stand up, and he's like, no one could stop him. Like, this is why, you know, he has to be considered as the GOAT.
You ready for me to shock the world here? This might send you in a heart attack. So when LeBron James played the Pistons in the playoffs and he scored like 30 straight points or something like that, do you remember that game?
I do remember that game.
That was probably the best performance I've ever seen. I mean, these are grown men out there that are professionals being paid millions and millions of dollars a year. And you've got one guy that is just tearing them up and willing them to succeed. I had full-blown Cavs fever at that point, more so than all these bandwagoners that are on the Cavs train now. Because the Cavs didn't. Oh, no, you're not. No. But I'm seeing all my timeline blows up with Cavs stuff because everybody's over the Browns. And then last night or 2 nights ago, all the Browns fans are back.
Yeah.
They're back and they're going to the Super Bowl. So enjoy that ride.
We got to win 2 in a row first.
Yeah.
Before we could start talking.
And you got a bye week coming.
Yeah.
You and the Steelers. Before we were talking about this a little bit before in the break. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I have
Scotty's
such a bad habit of cutting people off. I'll never learn. But I just wanted to say that because I did think about that LeBron game, but the only reason I give Jordan the edge there is because, again, he did that like sick as a dog. So that's why I would give that.
It's because somebody poisoned him.
And that was also in the NBA Finals, too. LeBron's wasn't in the Finals yet, but I am surprised you went there. I know you used to be a huge LeBron fan, even his first couple years in Miami, and now you're not so much, at least as a human.
Nope.
But I'll always be thankful to LeBron for helping, you know, the Cavs and Cleveland's title drought. So I can never hate LeBron. Am I upset he left? Yeah.
Would you welcome him back?
I would.
Who would you give up for LeBron James right now?
I would give up. I mean,
the fact that you have to think about it tells me that you don't want him that bad.
Yeah, if you're talking about something that would be realistic, because you're not going to be able to get LeBron trading away Chetty Osman.
No,
like, the Lakers would be like, hell no. So, and I love this guy, so it hurts my soul saying this, but if you have to be realistic here, I'd say Jared Allen.
Wow, that's incredible. And I gotta say, also another one of great performances I remember. I echo Scotty's point a little bit with that Game 5 of the '97 NBA Finals, the famous Jordan flu game.
But Radar, you're older than me. Do you have one from like the '80s or '90s? You remember an individual performance that just knocked your socks off?
You guys probably may not know it. It would be the Michael Jordan 63-point game. Game 2 of the 1986 NBA Eastern Conference first round against the Boston Celtics. I got to tell you guys that Michael Jordan, definitely the best athlete I had ever seen. And you look at how many championships Jordan brought to Chicago in his 6 NBA Finals visits.
6.
Yeah.
DJ,
Number
I'm just
23.
Curious. I know you're not a huge NBA fan or anything.
I'm getting there. I'm getting the fever again.
Okay. Did you I know we were kids. You're only a couple years older than me. So we didn't really see like Bird and Magic and Jordan in his first few years. But like, have you ever watched like old highlights or anything?
Oh yeah, I mean, because listen,
like that era.
Sigler talks about that era as it's the best in NBA history. I like the 90s. He likes the 80s. Even the early thousands, I'm a fan of, because it was still like bad boy basketball. This stuff that they play now is just, it's like watching touch football. It's stupid.
Well, the reason I asked you, I think I mentioned this to you before, but if you like that era, do you have HBO DJ or
I don't.
HBO Max?
No, I'm not. I don't have the rich cable like you, Scotty.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Maybe there's a way I could get you on mine. Or
you talking about the Lakers series?
Yeah. That if you like that era, it's a fan. You'll love that show. It's fantastic, man.
I think it's cool. All right, you got anything else you guys want to talk about before we get to the topic at hand, which is when one of us wins the Powerball tonight, what we're going to do with all the money?
I really
Radar, do you want to talk YSU at all?
I'll talk a little bit on YSU.
Go ahead, Radar.
And who could forget?
Let me give you the radar cam. Here we go.
All righty. YSU, 3 straight wins in conference play and football-wise, something not been done since 2016. Oh my! And they're on the road a little bit this coming Saturday. I understand. And Kristen, I gotta ask you, what are YSU's chances of winning out and making it to the FCS playoffs in 2022?
You know what? Anything can happen. The way they played 2 weeks ago, I'm going, what happened? And then they rolled over South Dakota. So I'm looking like anything can happen, and possibly just maybe there's a little bit of a shot for a playoff. Maybe.
That is if they get by Illinois State on the road.
And the other 2 games.
All right.
They have to win out.
I love Radar's delivery. His broadcast
well, Scotty, I got to ask you this.
He never shuts it off, man. I felt like I think Radar came out of the womb and he was like in that radio voice.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Radar. I
gotta ask.
I have arrived to the world.
I gotta say, really,
I'm Radar Pat.
Well, Scotty, I was just gonna ask you, what do you think of YSU's chances really getting into the postseason in football?
This turned into Radar show real quick.
Yeah, I'm so happy for Doug Phillips and that they're finally, it feels good. They're finally on a 3-game winning streak, and like you said, it goes back. They've had rough times since that, the national championship game appearance. So, hey, if I've been able to, keep some optimism about the Browns, I'm certainly not going to not be optimistic about YSU. So, I mean, they just go out, continue to play their game. If they give the same effort they have these last couple of weeks, I mean, not to sound cliche, exactly echo Kristen, but, it's true. Anything could happen. So I just want to continue to see them give the effort. And I'd love for this town to just be like crazed again about the Penguins. And I do, like, people say it'll never be like it was in the 90s, but I still think we can get, it might not be this year, but we can get to that level again. Do you think that's crazy for me to say?
No, I think this town would get behind a winner. And I think you see that. And I think I think Doug Phillips is doing a phenomenal job. Like, there's a lot of people that are giving Doug a lot of flack, but I think that he's got this team building the way he's always envisioned it. I think that 2020 was a huge setback for everybody, but especially a new coach. trying to do the recruitment trail. And then you got the changes in the NCAA and the portal and all that stuff that you got to deal with, and 5th-year seniors and 6th-year seniors and all that stuff. So I think Doug's been doing a phenomenal job. I'm a huge fan of what he does. He reminds me a lot of Coach Tressel, like a lot of Coach Tressel. And you have to give people time to work their craft. And we're starting to see what Coach was all about. And he brought Mitch Davidson in, and Mitch Davidson has been the answer immediately for this team. And you go from not scoring a whole lot of points to scoring over 30 a game for the last 3 games. So listen, you give the guy a chance, and he can make the moves that he wants to make, and he does them well. I think this team can go as far as Coach Phillips leads them.
And people like they'll say like how somebody can't win a press conference, but I don't know. Like I remember watching his introductory press conference,
the red jacket.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is gonna be I really like this guy.
I like
I just had a great feeling about him.
He's the kind of and I think this is one of the best things you can say about a leader or a coach or whoever is he's the kind of guy that you would want leading your kid. And whether that's in life, whether that's in football, whether that's in business, whatever it is, I would want Doug Phillips leading my kid anywhere he goes. So that's the way I think about him. And I think that if Doug delivers a winner, being that he's a local guy, I think that this town will get behind him and we would fill up the Ice Castle easily.
We talked about individual performance is either, but that's one of my favorite memories from childhood too, is the YSU football. I believe it was 97. They played McNeese State.
Oh,
they were down
yes.
9-3 most of the game and won at 10-9 in a defensive struggle. But man, I loved watching that game in that era, and I think we're knocking at the door.
We're getting
now.
There. We got some recruits coming in. That kid from Alliance is going to be a good running back, and with McLaughlin, he's showed up.
We're definitely going to need somebody to fill in McLaughlin's shoes, unless he comes back, because I think he's only a 5th year.
Mm-hmm.
But unless he comes back, we're going to need some big shoes to fill.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be some. Running backs in the NFL, you can get 4 or 5 of them. So
yeah,
the kid could play on Sundays. I could see it easily.
Yeah,
he's a great running back. So hopefully that's what he gets, and then we're talking about him on Sundays for the next 10 years. So
yeah.
All right, guys, we got 10 minutes or so left. Powerball tonight, $1.2 billion. So somebody in here won. I just have this feeling. Somebody in here won the Powerball. Scotty? Well, actually, let's go reverse. I want to go Radar because I want Radar Cam to be on. Radar, what would you do with $1.2 billion?
Boy, if I would have had won the $1.2 billion, I would have really live in one of warmer climate areas like Florida, Arizona,
Struthers.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Struthers, but I was gonna say really Florida, Arizona, and even in the warmer climates where much of the northern states really get in colder situations during the winter months. That's especially in the Bahamas a little bit. And so really one of the warmer climate regions would definitely be the place to be for me.
So you're just traveling. That's all you're doing.
Yes. Yeah, travel. I thought you loved the see, I guess I'm in the minority from people that at least that I see their posts on Facebook. And I talked to some people about this, and they feel the same way as the people that post that if they could, ideally, the second they'd have a chance, they move from here. See, I love it here, man. I don't think I would. I definitely would travel, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I'm not just blowing smoke.
I like that.
So
you just crapped all over Radar's $1.2 billion.
Yeah, I did.
But
you do what you want with it, right?
What else would you? I mean, you can
true.
travel for $1 million. What would you do with 1.2 billion? Like, what kind of things would you do that you never ever could right now?
That is an I don't know answer for.
Oh, Radar!
Come on, Radar!
But any
gotta
event,
have an answer.
I've got an answer.
But I do have an answer for that. Really, really.
It's Radar show, Kristen.
For 1.2 billion, and I would really go, really, travel really in the places like Aruba.
Are you just gonna go back into travel again?
No, not really. But seriously, for those that want to, but if I would have had 1.2 billion, we would love to travel really all over the world.
Okay.
Kristen, what would you do with 1.2
I would
billion?
travel a little, but I would also help the people who need it around here.
Oh.
But I would definitely help the people around here more than travel.
That's awesome.
Especially the ones who are really struggling. So
it's because you're a good person.
Yes.
Scotty?
Well,
here comes. It's all about Scotty.
Yeah, you asked.
Hey, it's your dream, man, not mine.
I'd have to hook up you and Jimmy a little bit.
Oh man,
I'd definitely hook both of you guys up, and you know my immediate family. But what I would do with the rest of the money?
Oh boy, look out!
I think I would just party, man. I think I'd call up some escorts.
Oh my God!
We'll just leave it at that.
That's gonna do it for our show. Scotty's. Oh my God!
Holy Toledo!
How do I come back from that? How do I come back from that, Scooter? Oh my gosh!
I said you.
That's
asked,
a lot.
man.
That is a terrible one. Oh, only on the Power Hour. Oh my gosh! All right, so everybody's dying laughing right now. I don't know if you can hear it from all over the world. People dying laughing. Mardell's loving it. 1.2 billion. All right. So I would, first off, you got to take care of all your debt, right? You eliminate your debt. You put a ton of money in the bank.
Oh yeah.
Right. You live off the interest, but you have fun a little bit, right? So $1 million, you can still have a ton of fun. $5 million, and that doesn't even put a dent in what you're going to do with 1.2 billion. So from my standpoint, you upgrade YSN like ridiculously because a lot of people will sit there and tell you, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quit my job. Listen, I've worked this job for no money and I still worked as hard as I could. So if I had money, I can't imagine what I would do. You know what I mean?
Like I also like people that say that it's like, okay, what are you going to do with the rest? Are you just going to lay and be a bumhole? Like, I just don't get that mentality.
I don't think I'd probably work as hard as I do now with $1.2 billion. But, excuse me, I would still work.
But your switch would never go off.
No, I just think that I would do things more casually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'd stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning anymore doing stuff. It'd be like, I'll get to it when I get to it. You know? Nobody at YSN would need any money anymore because I'd give them all the money from that standpoint. We would just do this for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a blast. Man, but you've talked about it like even throw hitting the lotto out of it, even if we don't. You've talked about down the line, like, who knows, maybe I could really live out the dream and at some point be here every day.
You will be, buddy. I'm confident that you'll be here every day. The three of you, we love having you at YSN. It's a blast having you. It's so much fun. People love you.
Yeah,
it is fun. It's a lot of fun. We love having you guys around. You know your sports, you know your stuff, and you like having fun. So that's gonna wrap it up. Or wait a minute, do you want to do a spark?
I'm down.
All right, you want to do a spark? All right, we got to pay some bills. Let's go do a spark. Hang on one second. Let me find the video. Here we go. There it is. Right there. Here we go. All right, so Joe Dickey Electric, what's your spark? Presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical, make sure you're calling them up or visiting them on the web at dickieelectric.com. Let's go to the Radar Cam. And Radar, what is your spark?
My big spark would be the college football playoff, as you well know the first rankings that came out last night. Ohio State, as you well know, is number 2. Two SEC schools, Tennessee, Georgia, are 1 and 3 respectively. They will go at it this coming Saturday. That's a 3:30 kickoff time. And then 4-rated Clemson. The big surprise happened to be Michigan. They are rated at number 5 and Clemson at number 6 in the college football playoff ranking. But it's only early November. A lot can happen between now and then, and anything can happen over the next month.
You sound like the kid from Angels in the Outfield.
I do.
And
I got to say anything can happen once you get to the college football playoffs off rankings over the next month. So anything goes, particularly with Tennessee, Georgia, and then later this month with Ohio State and that school up north, as Woody Hayes would say. The late Woody Hayes would say.
Kristen, help us.
All right. I have to repeat on YSU again. 2 weeks ago, they just barely got a win out, and the last week they just rolled all over a team. Yeah. So hopefully this week they can roll over a team again.
Big spark. Scotty, bring us home.
Yeah, I got a couple. One, I'm just so happy to be here, back with the team, back with my family, although I was here for
it's different though.
Call.
It's different.
It is different. So I had to give you a big hug. That's one of the first things I did. So it's 2 short sparks. That's the first one. And then my second one.
Oh boy, you're smiling.
My second one is you, DJ, for the way you put those people in place you were talking to about the lousy internet. My favorite was, yeah, I'm sure you're getting a lot of complaints because it sucks. that was my favorite. So you gave me a great laugh today. So thank you, brother.
It was one of those things, like our internet was running slow, so we had to do the whole song and dance with the internet company. And the guy was he wasn't being accepting of our trouble that we were having with the internet. So I apologize to you for you. That was your guys' first thing as you walked in here was me yelling at somebody on the phone.
Yeah.
So I apologize for that. But yeah, that's my spark is hey, if you're going to pay 100% for something every month, then you should get 100% of the product or service.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we were getting 62% of our service for the last 3 months. So Comcast, we're coming for you. Don't you worry about it. And that's when the internet goes out, right? Because they were watching this and they just turn it down.
Alrighty.
That is going to do it for our show today. I want to thank you guys once again, Kristen, Scotty, Radar. Thank you so much for coming in. Mm-hmm. We will see you next Wednesday right here on the Ysn Power Hour. I'll be back tomorrow live from athletics with Sean Wardle and maybe some other surprise guests. We'll be talking sports. We'll be talking about athletics and the partnership with YSN and a lot more football here on your sports network. So for Kristen, Scotty, Radar, my name's DJ. We'll see you next time right here on the network. Peace. YSN thanks you for